is a rather special vehicle. It's rare, it's unique, and it's a brand starter. This is the 2020 Polestar 1. So the only way to properly wrap your head around this vehicle is to consider it a concept car that you can buy. Because if you think of it as a regular plug-in hybrid, it starts to not make sense. Part of that is due to the price. There aren't really any options here except exterior color, which you can get in glossy or satin finish of like 5 different colors to choose from. I don't know the exact number. There's maybe 1 or 2 wheel choices, and then there's 1 or 2, maybe 3 interior color options. That's it. It's $156,500. The satin finish paint adds, I think, $5,000 if you want that. And you should, because it looks pretty badass, though this car does not have that. So it is very expensive, $156,000. It's very exclusive. Polestar is only going to build 1,500 total Polestar 1s, and of that count, only 450 of those are coming to the US, and it's capped at 150 per year for 3 years. So there's an ultra exclusivity factor to this car as well. And then there's some other facts about it, like it is colossally heavy. I believe it's 5,200 plus pounds. It's very heavy. And the reason for that is the 34 kilowatt hour battery pack that runs down the length of this car. And that in turn gets us into a packaging issue. This is a big bodied coupe. Basically, Polestar took the Volvo S90 platform and chopped it up a bit, took some length out of it, and turned it into a big coupe, but it doesn't have good trunk space, and the back seat is only just usable. How you doing back there? Are you comfortable? Okay, so it is possible to get comfortable back there if you're that size. If you're 4 going on 5, going on 16. But let's back up and look at it as a concept car, as a plug-in hybrid, high efficiency plug-in hybrid concept car. So let's step back. Powering the front is a 2-liter, 4-cylinder, turbo and supercharged engine paired with an electric motor for a combined output of 375 horsepower just for the front wheels, and that is backed up with an 8-speed gearbox. Out back are 2 114 horsepower electric motors feeding from that 34 kilowatt hour battery pack. You can run just in front wheel drive, you can run just in rear wheel drive, so purely electric or purely gas. You can run as a true hybrid off and on, or you can run in parallel, which is the fun mode. Because when you run in parallel, the total system output is 619 horsepower and something like 738 pound-feet of torque. And it goes like this. So that's the other thing. It doesn't feel like a car with 619 horsepower. It feels quick, amazingly quick for 5,200 pounds, but it's not like a sub 3 second or even like mid 3 seconds 0 to 60. I think it's 4, which granted, it's very quick, but it's not 619 horsepower quick. It's like a fast SUV, not a fast coupe. But the styling is fantastic. This is a good looking machine. And that's because the body panels are wonderfully formed, and they're formed from carbon fiber with the exception of the bumpers, front and rear. So the rest of the body panels are all carbon fiber reinforced plastic, I believe. I think it's CFRP. And it's still that heavy. Polestar says that if they had to make the body out of steel, it would have added another 500 pounds. So let's all cheer for the CFRP. It handles surprisingly well for that weight. Part of that is owed to the fact that those rear electric motors can truly vector torque, not just brake bias torque, but actually really feed the power out how you want it. The steering is nicely tuned for the heft, and overall the car does a decent job of masking that heft, which is kind of fantastic. And then the big Akebono sourced brakes behind 21-inch wheels certainly help with grip and stopping. The wheels with the grip, the brakes with the stopping, obviously. I still have to say. And it's Pirelli P0 tires at all 4 corners, really thin ones that also further lend to the concept car look. Giant 21-inch wheels tucked under those fenders. I have no issues with the styling. It's fantastic. I like that it's very subtle in its badging. It only says Polestar on a sticker on the side, and on the brake calipers, I think it says it as well. But the badging itself is subtle. Everybody's, what is that car? What is that car? What is that? I like the nod here with the gold seat belts. And then because it is a proper Polestar vehicle, you got the Uhlin suspension, adjustable front and rear. And I always think that's a badass touch. And it rides really well on top of that. So the ride is nice. The performance is surprising, but not like, oh, that's definitely 619 horsepower. It's like, oh, it has enough power to get up and go. I do like the ability to run purely electric though, and the reason they stuffed 34 kilowatt hour battery pack under here is so that the electric only running, there's a substantial amount of it for a plug-in hybrid. I had to drive from Orange County to El Segundo the other day. I left my house at about 7:30 in the morning. Traffic was light because it's still a bit COVID light these days on the California freeways. And I was able to drive, I'll tell you, I was going 85 to 90 miles per hour the whole time. They're giving me there's a cop up ahead flashing light. No one in California does that. Nobody flashes their lights, which drives me nuts. I'm the only one usually doing that. So it was nice to see someone else doing that to let you know there's a cop up ahead. It's just a nice courtesy. God damn, this trailhead is packed. Psychopaths. So, the hell was I saying? Even more cars, people still hiking in. I lost my train of thought. Let's see if I can get it back. What was I saying? What was I just talking about, Sloan? You're right. Thank you. Thanks for listening. High five. So I left my house driving 85, 90 miles per hour. It said 68 miles of electric range, which is funny because this thing I believe is only rated at like 60. So 68 miles of range, and I went the whole time. Even if I was getting on the throttle, it never converted to the gas mode, and I just left it in hybrid mode. I wasn't even in pure, which is the pure electric mode. I kept it in hybrid mode, and it will let you run electric only mode up to 99 miles per hour, because at that point it needs to start cooling the battery, and it doesn't want you to push harder than that. So I was cruising electrically the whole way, and I was listening to a podcast. It's nice and quiet in the car. So the ride is good, the styling's amazing, the performance is adequate. It's an insane horsepower and torque figure. It just doesn't feel like it. But if you think of this as driving in the unicorn concept car, it is very cool. And then maybe the price makes sense because it's a future collector at that point too. The more important Polestar vehicle, because this is a halo vehicle obviously, is the forthcoming Polestar 2, which is the 4-door, I believe it's like sedan crossover-y, and that's fully electric. And then the Polestar 3 is coming after that, which is another electric. So this is more of like a, hey, look at us, we're Polestar, check it out. And then Polestar 2 and 3 are like, buy these, buy these, buy these. You're not gonna see a lot of Polestar 1s on the road. If you see one on the road, I mean, this is around here in Orange County at least, this is far less common than any McLaren, any Lamborghini, definitely an Acura NSX, sorry Acura. No, I said that wrong. The Acura is probably less common. I said that wrong. But this is, what I'm getting at is you'll see more supercars in my neck of the woods than you would see a Polestar 1. I might never see one of these again. That's how rare these are. And that is kind of awesome to me in the back of my head. And that's the only way I can justify the insane price tag of this thing. It is very cool from a concept car that you can buy standpoint. As a regular car at 156, no, it makes absolutely no sense. Like if this was your only car, it'd be weird to buy this as your only car. You would put this in your garage next to a few other things and then take this out, and you could make it your daily driver, but you would probably have other things as well. I could be wrong. Someone might be like, I want that, that's all I need, and you're good to go. I mean, I can get a car seat here, but it sacrifices this seat. Thankfully, my wife is short, though I feel bad putting her in that seat as it sits right now. But yeah, I've been enjoying my time with the car. I've been insanely curious about it. I was supposed to get it a while back, and then quarantine stuff hit, and we had to push it months out. So we're obviously very late to drive this thing, but you know, them's the breaks these days, and you can take stuff when you can get it. And I am happy to finally get my chance with this car. The sound system, Bowers & Wilkins, sounds phenomenal. The seats are very comfortable. So all of the things that are, I mean, Polestar and Volvo are going to be separate teams. It's going to be like Hyundai and Genesis and Kia to an extent. More Hyundai and Genesis. Where like, no, we're Polestar. No, they're Volvo. But like, it's the Sensus system. I guess the next Polestar 2 gets the upgraded infotainment Precept. But that was the concept car. But we're not there yet. This is just a regular Volvo infotainment system that, to my mind, works well. I know some people have problems with it. I don't get any of the lagginess. The seats are comfortable. These belts look familiar from the V60 Polestar that we drove. The steering wheel, though it has a different badge on it, all the controls are familiar. The start-stop, obviously the other cars don't get this like crystalline shift knob, but it's very Volvo familiar, just in a much cooler, more interesting package. And then again, so it's like gets back to the concept car. And I'm rambling at this point, which is probably a good time to call this thing. And I think you got the gist. And if you have any questions, ask them in the comments section, and I'm gonna do something super YouTubey. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I guess it's really important to hit that bell too. Booyah. There, was that YouTubey enough, Sloan? What else should I do for YouTube? What do they say on the YouTubes that you watch? Thumbs up? Do you give this video a thumbs up? 1 or 2? 2. Good, all right, high five for that. Do you have anything to say about the car? Anything? Yeah. You like it, okay. There you go, Sloan likes it, and we're out. Shades. The shades. The shades. I was rocking. I was listening to, if you're curious, Brian Loans' Dorkomotive podcast, the first episode, my first time listening to it, and I'm getting on a tangent, so I'll put this at the end. The first episode was about an insane logging campaign for a dam in Minnesota or Montana, and that you're like, that's going to be a boring podcast, and it was fascinating. So kudos to Brian Loans for the Dorkomotive podcast. Give that a listen, especially since there's no Hooniverse podcast anymore. Go back and listen to all 300. But okay, back on track. Sorry.